my food stamp card, but you with this bigger man for her groceries?
It's the same card.
No.
And other parts of the world.
What do you mean?
No, what you mean what I mean? So you mean to tell me that you lost my food stamp card, but you with this bigger man for her groceries?
It's the same card.
No, it's not the same card. You lied to me yesterday and said you didn't have it. But what's she doing with groceries though? I'm just trying to figure out.
She do got
Doesn't matter.
groceries.
Is she paying for the shit? She giving you some money for my shit?
It's a food stamp card.
It
What are y'all
doesn't matter.
tripping
You
for?
got some money, baby, because I need my card. Who got the card?
Bro, it's like both of our kids.
It doesn't matter. Not her kid.
Bro, it's a food stamp card.
It doesn't matter.
It's a food stamp card. No, it's a food
Where's my card?
Dang,
Beat
bro.
his ass.
Get him. Beat his ass.
Who got the card? Where's my card? You trying to feed your kids? I got kids, baby.
It's cool, I can pay for it.
Oh, yeah, well, y'all gonna have to pay for it.
Here.
Don't be giving them call
The
out.
money too, cause she gonna have to pay for her own shit.
Damn.
It's cool.
Run that money too.
The fuck?
Thank you for helping.
She said the fuck.
Damn.
Everybody looking at
Damn,
her
bro.
like, damn.
You let your girl take your food stamp card. Damn.
Okay.
Oh man, who gonna pay for?
And other parts of the world.
So obviously, because we don't like to backtrack and we don't like to really get to the root of the self-inflicted things we do ourselves. And so I'm gonna just speak to her because it's pretty much what you see is what you get. If you're dating a dude and he doesn't even have the money to be able to buy his own groceries, to the point to where obviously if you're getting a food stamp card, you probably got kids. And this man is willing to literally and figuratively take food out of your kid's mouth just for you to provide him with food or your food stamp card for him to be able to go spend it, which that already lets you know his leadership. Because not only are you basically feeding a man, a grown, able-bodied man who probably doesn't have anything going on for himself, and that's why he has to cling to what you have or what you've been given. But his leadership and discernment is so bad. And really what it shows is he doesn't really care about you and your stability because he's willing to allow you to risk losing your benefits just to be able to feed him. And then what you find is that it gets even more dastardly because he's taking your food stamp card and he's spending it on a whole nother woman. But the fact that he would have took your card to begin with should have let you know already what you were dealing with. So this is why I don't like to delve into, oh, where's the father or whatever. Y'all are making these decisions and you can literally see what you're getting in some of these men. But for whatever reason, whatever trivial reason it is that you're attracted to them and you see something in them to where you just treat them like kings and give them your food stamp card and let them live under your Section 8 rent free and write them when they're in jail and all this type of stuff. So you do it to yourself. And she did it to herself. So you don't get to seem like you don't understand what's going on and somebody pulled the rug from under you. You was giving the man your food stamp card to begin with. So what more did you really expect? Y'all, before we get into the next clip, if you could like the video, I greatly appreciate it. Only takes a second and it actually helps out more than you know. And it's really just a click. But also if you could hype as well. But let's go ahead and get into the main story. So the main story for today, very interesting. Very interesting. SNAP enrollment in Tennessee dropped by more than 100,000 people in less than a year. And so we can make some inferences on why that could be. But let's just get into it and then we'll build the ship while we sail it.
SNAP enrollment in Tennessee dropped by more than 100,000 people in less than a year. That's according to state data. The Tennessee Justice Center argues the decline isn't because there's less need for food assistance, but new federal requirements. For tens of thousands of Tennesseans, putting food on the table is getting even more challenging.
Hold on. Listen to what she said. Because I've been saying this for a while. And she just said it right at the beginning and confirmed what I've already been bringing up in tons of videos. You can go back and see it. But listen to this.
Need for food assistance, but new federal requirements. For tens of thousands.
The reason that enrollment is dropping isn't because the need allegedly has gone down, quote, quote, but it's because of the new requirements, which I said this was going to happen because people are weighing the benefits now, no pun intended, but they're weighing the benefit to themselves as well as what's required of them. And what they find is, well, by the time I do these requirements, which the requirements typically are, you have to work 20 hours a week, which comes up to 80 hours a month. And then so people do the equation, they see how much benefits they're getting. And now the deal breaker has been put into place, which is a lot of people have just been wanting to live off these benefits and ultimately be lazy. But now you're holding them to something, you're requiring something of them. So it is no surprise to me that we have people who are not enrolling anymore. They're not even signing up for it anymore because it's dang if you do, dang if you don't. I got to work if I do, I got to work if I don't. So I might as well just not work and not be capped or have to go through as much scrutiny and have all these people in my business ultimately.
Because there's less need for food assistance, but new federal requirements. For tens of thousands of Tennesseans, putting food on the table is getting even more challenging.
People are having to make hard choices in order to feed themselves.
And advocates say the prices on the shelves are only part of the equation. According to state data, SNAP enrollment in Tennessee dropped by more than 100,000 people between last July.
Just in case you didn't know what SNAP stood for, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program.
When enrollment in Tennessee dropped by more than 100,000 people between last July, when President Trump's so-called One Big Beautiful Bill passed, and this April. The Tennessee Justice Center says the biggest driver in the decline, new federal SNAP rules that went into effect in February in Tennessee, including expanded work requirements, fewer exemptions, and tighter eligibility checks.
Expenses that families have to take care of.
Before we really get into this, right, you have to be paying attention. You have to be paying attention because the way I like my news unbiased. I like my news objective. I just like to get the facts and let me form my opinion for myself. But sadly, the way media, especially news, has been run today, which is great for people like me because it actually opens an opportunity now because people are so sick of getting biased news that's really just trying to influence the way they feel about something because it's dependent on whichever side you're on. And in America, we've never been more divided than what we are now. But because people have gotten fed up with ultimately being fed what their opinion should be, now it's created opportunities where other people can come on and they can help to translate some of this stuff. And it basically just opens the door for people who are being unbiased and who are just looking at things objectively and don't necessarily have an agenda. And so I say that to say, because you need to be listening. Small things can give big indications. And one big indication of what we were dealing with when I was listening to this, I'll go back to it. Listen to this. This is what let me know I was already dealing with a little bit of bias with this news article.
One Big Beautiful Bill passed, and this April, enrollment in Tennessee dropped by more than 100,000 people between last July, when President Trump's so-called One Big Beautiful Bill passed. People between last July, when President Trump's so-called One Big Beautiful Bill passed.
Did you hear it? Did you hear the indication that let us know this is already biased? People can't even shield their biases sometimes. She said, when President Trump's so-called One Big Beautiful Bill, so she put her extra little flavor on it. She could have just said, when President Trump One Big Beautiful Bill, she says so-called, which is a form of passive aggression. And again, I don't get political here right now, but I'm picking up what she's putting down. When President Trump's so-called one big beautiful bill, ma'am, just give us the information. Just give us the news. You don't got to put your extra flavor on it.
100,000. According to state data, SNAP enrollment in Tennessee dropped by more than 100,000 people between last July, when President Trump's so-called One Big Beautiful Bill passed, and this April. The Tennessee Justice Center says the biggest driver in the decline, new federal SNAP rules that went into effect in February in Tennessee, including expanded work requirements, fewer exemptions, and tighter eligibility checks.
Expenses that families have to take care of are at an all-time high. And so normally when we are in that situation, there are more families participating in SNAP.
And let's translate that. She said, more regulations and fewer exemptions. So what is she talking about? Don't just try to make it seem, for one, everyone always says, oh, people on these assistance programs are working. But then when we bring up, well, then what's the problem if they just put a requirement that you have to be working if you're already working? It's because they want to have that option not to work and ultimately be incentivized not to work. So on both sides of the coin, they can come out better off because they can go to work and they can act like they don't need the job because they know if they leave the job or quit the job or get fired because of their own behavior, then they can go right down to the food stamp office and let those people know, I lost my job. So enhance my benefit allocation. As well as they said fewer exemptions. Well, yeah. Now, I mean, if your kids are a certain age, which is ultimately just means if your kids are old enough to where they're in school during the day, you have to meet these requirements as well, work requirements. And it's not just work. You can volunteer, you can work, or you can do workforce training. But it has to equal up to those hours, which I don't. So you have options within this. And I feel like the exemptions are also fair as well. They might even say, oh, well, we're disabled. We have to remember that people overinflate and over exaggerate certain things today because people are just ultimately a lot mentally weaker now, as well as it's become more acceptable to be more victimized. Keep in mind now in jobs, you can call out the same day because you need a mental health day. You can call out of work the same day because you need a mental health day. Listen, I have times when I don't want to get in front of this microphone. Have you all ever seen me call out and take a day? Or do I show up every day? Regardless, that's just what comes with being mature and what comes with being an adult. But I say that to say, people will think that they have certain chronic things that they're dealing with and think that makes them disabled. And then they go to the doctor and they ultimately can't get that doctor's note to be able to bring to the government assistance office saying that they're permanently disabled. And that's what we're talking about. Yeah, you're talking about you're disabled. You're going to have to prove that. We're not just taking you're disabled on face value and you don't have no note to prove it, no nothing. So these are the type of things that we're really talking about here.
But that's not what's happening. Families are being pushed off because of these rules.
More Tennesseans are turning to the Tennessee Justice Center for help, either because they're struggling to fill out all the paperwork or they don't meet the 20-hour-a-week work or volunteer requirement to qualify. The group says that includes families, grandparents.
So they're going there. You see the excuses that people are coming up with, the victimhood excuses. The first one is they can't fill out the paperwork. They're having trouble filling out the paperwork. No, they're having trouble lying on the paperwork and making it in a way to where they'll get the benefits that they want. The paperwork is being very specific. And what they're finding is that they're able-bodied. And then when they're doing the equation, they're like, well, this wouldn't be enough. So they're dragging their feet filling out the paperwork because they know, okay, well, if I turn this in, okay, I'm 21, I don't got no kids. Oh no, this paperwork ain't doing what I need this paperwork to do. I'm gonna either have to fudge some of this stuff or I'm just gonna drag my feet with it and I'm gonna hold off and I'm gonna report that the paperwork's too hard. As well as she said that people are having a hard time meeting the 20-hour work requirement. Again, they didn't even mention the fact that on the work requirement, you can volunteer, do job training, or just actually work. Didn't they cut the funding for all these nonprofits? We're on one end, we're complaining that the government cut the funding for a lot of nonprofits, but that would mean that they could definitely use some free labor if the federal funding cuts affected so many nonprofit organizations. So, what do you mean you're having trouble doing the 20-hour work requirement when you can just go volunteer for free? I'm pretty sure anybody will accept you in this landscape, in this climate. So just say that you're not trying to work, but you would rather just take up the victim approach and just say that you have trouble meeting it. Figure it out. Before, see, it used to be where you would just put whatever and you would give an excuse and you would just get the free floodgates to open for you, like freaking parting the Red Sea. And that's no longer happening. What's ultimately being exposed is that a lot of people really didn't need it. And so now with the regulations and with them having to disclose that and be transparent about that, they're finding that it's futile ultimately.
Parents or volunteer struggling to fill out all the paperwork, or they don't meet the 20-hour-a-week work or volunteer requirement to qualify. The group says that includes families, grandparents, veterans, and those who are homeless.
If you don't have a place to live, to shower, to get a phone call, it's hard to work. And to take food away from those individuals makes it really difficult for them to even get to a point where they can work.
The Trump administration says the stricter eligibility requirements are more fiscally responsible. And
so understand when she's saying, oh, it's hard to work. You don't understand what it's like. This is a woman, I believe, who she just talks to people and she doesn't ask follow-up questions. She just takes their story on face value. Oh, why can't you do it? Oh, it's just so hard to fill out the paperwork. She doesn't follow up. She'll just come to the news station and say, people are saying, I'm hearing from everyone, it's hard to fill out the paperwork. What else? Oh, it's hard to meet the work requirements now. She doesn't ask follow up. She doesn't ask, well, did you try volunteering? Well, did you go online and put your stuff into the portal so that you can do the free job training that you can just probably do behind your computer? No, she just says, oh, I'm hearing from so many people that they can't keep up with the work requirements. I thought everybody was already working on Snap. Oh, were they not working 20 hours a week? Oh, did they want to have the option to take weeks off and do it whatever? But now you got to know, you got to be working every week. You got to meet that. And it's really cut in half for the average work week. The average work week is 40 hours. And in this economy, people are working far above that if they can. You can't do 20? That free money is not incentivizing you to do 20? You still get a little free money on top of whatever you earning. But I can tell she'll just take whatever story somebody gives her off face value, and she's not going to try to hold them accountable, which it doesn't solve the problem and it doesn't help them. Sometimes you have to ask these follow-up questions so that it can expose the fact and bring to light a revelation that there's more that they can be doing to help themselves. But instead, you're enabling them to continue to be lazy and ultimately to continue to play victim. And so they're not going to find any internal strength within themselves to ultimately be able to turn their situation around. But funny enough, I think when people ultimately get to the point where they're realizing, see, as men, we do it all the time. Because for most men, we had to find out a long time ago, wasn't nobody coming to save us. So as human beings, we're very adaptable. And I think what you'll find is a lot of these people who are taking up these victim hoods when they realize that no, nothing's coming to save you. You got everything you need within yourself. I think once it really settles in that this is what it is, I think that you'll find a way. And most people actually will. You'll be surprised. But sometimes you just need a little incentive. Did you know that birds, the way that they learn how to fly is the mama bird just throws the birds out the nest and doesn't come to save them? And so, when's the last time you was walking down the street and you saw a unalive bird on the sidewalk? You don't really see that too often. You see bird-ish on the sidewalk or on everything, but you don't just see whole unalive chicklets, do you? No, they learn how to fly, don't they? When they really get thrown out there, they learn how to fly. I think you're about to see a lot of people are going to learn how to fly.
Hard to work, and to take food away from those individuals makes it really difficult for them to even get to a point where they can work.
The Trump administration says the stricter eligibility requirements are more fiscally responsible and crack down on waste and fraud, arguing against claims anyone was pushed out of the program.
No one was kicked off. We have more people working today than ever before.
But the Tennessee Justice Center says the economy hasn't changed and inflation is still high. They argue any work requirement to receive SNAP benefits creates an endless cycle of struggle.
Individuals need their basic needs.
Wait a second. Say that again.
Still high. They argue any work requirement to receive SNAP benefits creates an endless cycle of struggle.
They said that any work requirement, which people have been saying that people already work, any requirement for them to work is going to create an endless cycle of struggle. People was already using these things for their entire lifetime. So there already was an endless cycle of struggle. How do you know it's going to be an endless cycle of struggle when this is new? That's that victim stuff. You come with a solution. You mean to tell me that making you work or making you do job training or making you go out and meet people and volunteer and put out good will into the universe before you even let it be done for a whole year, you're telling me already that it's going to create an endless cycle of struggle? With all due respect, destitute person, we're not taking your advice as far as how to solve the problem because you was already in struggle. Are you going to take advice from a successful person or are you going to take advice from somebody in struggle for your life? I'm asking the audience. Are you going to get a life coach that's in a cycle of struggle, or are you going to get a life coach that's not struggling and that's not even just doing average, that's thriving, abundantly thriving? Whose advice and whose sentiment are you ultimately going to take? You're going to take the person who's thriving. So, with all due respect, you're going to have to let this thing pan out. And yeah, it's going to be a lot on you. See, they're projecting their lack of faith in themselves to turn around their situation on their own onto the effectiveness of the regulations. Don't project. That's a you thing. There's going to be a lot of people who it has a great impact on because these benefits have been around since forever, and it's only been growing. It's only been growing because what we find is that a lot of people get on it. New people get on it every year, but in proportion to the people that get off of it, we definitely have more people getting on it. So it's only growing, it's only getting larger, and it's ultimately only causing more overhead for the country, which is ultimately overhead for the taxpayer. It's unsustainable. What is sustainable is people doing the right thing, trying their very best, sacrificing, and having to ultimately be mature and responsible. That's which will also contribute to the economy. They're going to be contributing to volunteering. They're going to be upskilling. You mean to tell me that's going to continue a cycle of destitution? I done heard it all now.
before.
But the Tennessee Justice Center says the economy hasn't changed and inflation is still high. They argue any work requirement to receive SNAP benefits creates an endless cycle of struggle.
Individuals need their basic needs met in order to be able to work. So that in a perfect world, it just wouldn't. You wouldn't be holding food against people that either really are working or struggling to find work.
Mhm. Holding food against people. Okay. It's always people starving. I bet you if the government created a government official, right? A government official food pantry where it was only canned food, things you can survive off of that's never going to go bad. It was rice, it was pastas, a government food pantry of just sustainable food that's definitely going to be healthier than the junk food. If they had an official government food pantry where you just get bland, regular food and you got to learn how to try to season it and spice it up and make it taste good, people would not be going to it. They wouldn't want nothing to do with it. This isn't a starving problem. This is an entitlement problem. And this is a laziness problem. That's the problem that this is. And so we got to solve for that. And this is also a lack of delayed gratification problem, because a lot of people, they don't want to give up the things they want to do in order to try to start getting ahead and ultimately building a foundation for their lives to be able to take care of themselves for the rest of their lives. I've never seen concerts that's not sold out. I see people at Beyonce concerts all the time. Chris Brown is never hurting for $1,000. There's people who are paying Chris Brown $1,000 to take a picture with him for a moment. That's how little people value money. But if we go into these people's financial situations, I think what we will find is that they do not have anything sustainable and anything lasting, or even a plan to last them towards the end of retirement. But everybody's got money to blow. Everyone's got money to blow. I don't come across people's profiles to where they haven't taken a trip in the last 3 to 6 months. And I'm not talking about an average trip. I'm talking about Miami. It's even getting further to where I'm talking about other countries across the globe, destination locations.
People that either really are working or struggling to find work.
We reached out to Senator Marsha Blackburn for a statement. She sent us the following, saying, quote, "The One Big Beautiful Bill protects SNAP for those who truly need it by strengthening the integrity of the program, reducing waste, and enforcing common sense work requirements for able-bodied adults. We are focused on ensuring federal assistance reaches those who qualify while promoting opportunity, self-sufficiency, and responsible stewardship of taxpayer dollars."
Self-stewardship. So I had a lot more lined up, but I guess I was getting triggered a lot in that video. So I think we're just going to leave it here. Ultimately, this is what's happening is exactly what I expected to happen. And I think even what the program is meant for to happen, which is people who don't need it, who clearly don't qualify it, and who clearly are just lazy and not taking their life into their own hands and having, like she said, self-integrity, self-respect, and self-sufficiency. Now we're about to see. We're about to see, did you really need it? Or did you have a crutch that you wanted to lean on that was convenient at the time? So you decided to take it, and you decided to craft your life around something free because you just ultimately don't want to work. But again, we'll leave it there for today. If you could like the video, I greatly appreciate it. It only takes a second, and it actually helps out more than you know. And also, if you could hype the video. Hype is a new feature that YouTube offers where it helps smaller content creators like myself. And basically, when you hype, it actually pushes us to the extent that it pushes the larger content creators. So you just press the hype button and it shows the points. And since I'm a smaller creator, a smaller channel, we actually get more points per hype. And hype was designed for smaller channels, so that's why. But if you come across a video and you don't see the hype button, then it's probably been over 7 days, and hype usually vanishes after 7 days. So it's usually best practice if you want to hype to just go ahead and hype while the iron is hot on a newer, fresh video. And if you want to become a member of the channel, join buttons on the video. And what becoming a member of the DXU family will come with is you would get badges next to your comments. So people would be able to see that you are a member whenever you leave a comment, as well as you would get early access to content and exclusive content that's not available to everyone else on YouTube. So again, if you want to join buttons on the video. But until then, I'll see you in the next video.